On a bitterly cold night in Denver, Rachel Bennett was preparing for her night shift in the pediatric ward at Denver Health Medical Center. In the locker room, filled with the scent of disinfectant, she changed into her nurse's uniform while checking her smartphone. A message from her daughter Katie: "Mom, so excited for tomorrow's party. Night shift again. You've been at it for 3 weeks straight," Maria, her colleague, called out with concern. She held a stack of patient charts in her hands, with colorful pens peeking out from her uniform pocket. "Yes, but it's fine. Katie's tuition is due this month," Rachel smiled, though fatigue was evident on her face. At 38, wrinkles were definitely starting to form around her eyes. Looking at her reflection in the mirror, she let out a quiet sigh. The night shift pay was good. Plus, it meant fewer encounters with her mother-in-law, Margaret. Though publicly known as a philanthropist, Margaret wielded enormous influence on the hospital board. Just last month, a young nurse had been suddenly forced to resign. "Did you hear about Emily?" Maria lowered her voice. In the empty hallway near the nurses' station, she checked their surroundings before continuing. "They say she was forced out by board pressure. Her patient care was perfect, too." "Yes, Margaret's influence on the board is absolute," Rachel replied, her expression bitter. Just saying her mother-in-law's name made her chest tighten. Margaret's name always shone at the top of the donor list displayed on the pediatric ward walls. "But you're safe, aren't you? There's no nurse more trusted in this hospital's pediatric ward." Rachel returned an ambiguous smile to Maria's words. True, her evaluations were excellent. But that didn't mean she was completely free from her mother-in-law's influence. In the hospital boardroom, the next round of personnel decisions lay on the heavy wooden table. Rachel's name was there. A promotion, or a transfer? Everything would likely be decided by her mother-in-law's word. The next day, Katie was carefully preparing at home. She stood before her closet, choosing her outfit with special meaning. A light blue dress, her mother's gift for her 12th birthday. Wearing it held great significance. While carefully braiding her long brown hair in front of the mirror, she checked an envelope in her drawer. It contained 3 months' worth of records. Smartphone recordings, notes, photos. All perfect evidence. But it wasn't enough. She needed decisive proof. "Would you like some help?" Margaret's voice suddenly came from behind. Katie's body instantly tensed. "No thank you, I'm almost ready," she fought to keep her voice steady. "I see. Have fun," Margaret's voice carried a meaningful tone. Dressed in a black cashmere dress, she looked every bit the elegant lady. But her eyes gleamed coldly. "I'm going now." Katie's voice trembled slightly as she stood at the front door. She shouldered her weekend bag and gripped her smartphone. "Be careful. Call if anything happens," Rachel answered while checking her own phone before her night shift. "I will. I love you, Mom." Her daughter hugged her more tightly than usual, her small back trembling slightly. Making one last stop at her mother's room, Katie opened the desk drawer. Inside was a copy of the nursing license. She quietly took out her smartphone and photographed it. As evidence. Her small hands trembled slightly. In the twilight-lit hallway, Katie paused at the sound of conversation drifting up from below. "If that child speaks, this family is finished," Margaret's icy voice carried upstairs. "Don't let Rachel say a word. We have things to protect." Stephen's voice held a note of panic. The luxury car payments, the facade of an elegant lifestyle, all supported by his mother's financial power. Katie stood frozen, both hands pressed against her mouth to stay silent. Her heart pounded. The voice memo on her smartphone continued its quiet recording. Recently, she had been gradually moving her belongings to school. Uniforms, textbooks, precious photographs. And the numerous pieces of evidence recorded on her smartphone. Her locker at Kent Denver School now contained everything she needed. Including a new phone, hidden away. "Promise me, Sarah. Keep it absolutely secret." The two faced each other in the school library after classes. No one else was around. "Don't worry, I'll protect you. The teachers are all on our side too." Sarah's eyes held determination. Records of meetings with the school counselor were already prepared. Like a daily ritual, she checked her mother's room each morning, confirming the nursing license's presence. Her mother's job. That crucial certificate that supported their family's life. Her grandmother held it hostage. Walking through the halls of Denver Health Medical Center, Rachel reflected on her daughter's recent behavior. Photos gradually disappearing from bedroom walls. Soft crying sounds in the middle of the night. Trembling fingers operating her smartphone. And in her eyes, an indescribable fear. It had all been right there in front of her. But she hadn't seen it. Hadn't realized that her salary, supporting 70% of their household, had become chains. That her beloved daughter was silently crying out for help. The hospital's fluorescent lights shone coldly. The clock hands moved quietly but surely toward tomorrow night. The wheels of fate had already begun turning dramatically. On a chilly evening in early November, at 7 p.m., Katie headed to Sarah's house with a tense expression. In Cherry Creek's quiet residential area, autumn leaves cast eerie shadows in the streetlight glow. Cold wind whistled between houses warmly lit from within. It seemed like their usual weekend sleepover party. But tonight was different. The success of their plan rested on Katie's small shoulders. Her bag contained a smartphone with newly installed apps. Special ones, for collecting evidence. "Welcome, Katie," Sarah's mother, Jennifer Walker, greeted her warmly. A nurse herself, she always maintained a kind smile. For classmates had already gathered in the well-ordered living room. "Good evening, Mrs. Walker." Katie's voice was slightly higher than usual. The scent of popcorn filled the air. A movie played on the TV screen. "Snacks and juice are on the table. Help yourself." The girls cheered at Jennifer's words, but Katie and Sarah's expressions held a hint of tension. At 8 p.m., an unexpected visitor arrived. The doorbell interrupted the girls' chatter. Katie's body tensed momentarily. "Oh, Mrs. Margaret," Jennifer stood at the door, surprised. The sudden visit of Margaret Bennett, a society notable, seemed out of place in this modest neighborhood. "I hope you don't mind. I brought some homemade brownies for Katie." Margaret smiled graciously, holding an elegant box. Wrapped in a deep blue cashmere coat, she looked every bit the loving grandmother. But something cold lurked behind her eyes. How thoughtful, but you shouldn't have. Jennifer's voice held a trace of confusion. A local dignitary making a personal visit at this hour? It's nothing. Katie is my precious granddaughter, after all. Margaret's voice dripped like honey. But her sharp gaze took in every detail of the room. In the living room, the girls were absorbed in video games. But Katie and Sarah's eyes met briefly. According to plan, the smartphone's camera was already recording. Katie, grandmother made these especially for you. Margaret opened the box, releasing the aroma of chocolate brownies. Perfect appearance. Perfect color. But inside. Thank you, grandmother, Katie replied politely. Her small hands trembled slightly. Share them with everyone. It's a special recipe. With that, Margaret departed gracefully. The sound of a luxury car's engine echoed through the quiet neighborhood. Katie didn't move until the sound faded away. Let's enjoy these. Jennifer began dividing the brownies onto small plates. The sweet aroma filled the room. As planned, Katie and Sarah photographed the brownies. The date, time, and Margaret's name on the box. Everything recorded as evidence. The two had coordinated their story. Just in case. By 9 p.m., the party was in full swing. The movie had ended, and the girls were playing dance games. But suddenly, Katie and Sarah's conditions changed. I don't feel well. Katie clutched her stomach. Her face had gone pale. Her limbs began to shake. Beside her, Sarah showed similar symptoms. Are you two all right? Jennifer rushed over. Her expression turned serious as she drew on her nursing experience. She checked their pulses, examined their pupils. Her expression clouded. I'm calling an ambulance. She made the decision instantly. At 9:15 p.m., the emergency call went out. Meanwhile, Sarah's mother continued necessary first aid. In the pediatric ward at Denver Health Medical Center, Rachel's phone vibrated in her pocket at 9:30 p.m. Mrs. Bennett? The voice on the other end stopped her world. Your daughter has been brought to emergency. Blood drained from her face. Her hands shook. The fluorescent lights at the nurse's station suddenly seemed too bright. What happened? Katie. We'll explain everything at the hospital. And a moment's hesitation. The police are here too. At 10 p.m., Rachel arrived at the hospital. But an unexpected scene awaited her. Two uniformed officers stood at the emergency entrance. Their stern expressions amplified Rachel's anxiety. She tried to rush forward. Mrs. Bennett, you can't see your daughter right now. Why? I'm her mother. This is a crucial investigative decision. For your and your daughter's safety. In the hospital's fluorescent-lit hallway, the clock hands moved cruelly slow. Rachel. She turned to find her colleague Dr. Thompson standing there. The pediatric chief physician's expression had lost its usual calm. The blood test results. Just then, her husband and mother-in-law emerged from the elevator. Both wore expressions of barely concealed panic. Leave this to us. Stephen's voice carried a commanding tone. The police allowed them into the room. 15 minutes later, the pair emerged, inexplicably smiling. "Everything's fine, just fatigue," Margaret's voice held a triumphant note. "Nothing to worry about," Stephen agreed. Their manner was unnaturally cheerful. But they didn't know. The room's security camera had recorded everything during those 15 minutes. Margaret whispering something in Katie's ear. Stephen desperately searching through the bag. Their relieved expressions when they found no evidence. Rachel's phone rang again. The caller ID showed Sarah's mother. Her fingers trembled. She didn't yet know this call would trigger the revelation of all truths. The police had begun moving quietly but surely. Years of silence were about to end tonight. In the quiet hallway of Denver Health Medical Center, past 11 p.m., normal visiting hours had ended. But in one pediatric ward room, an important investigation was underway. "Mrs. Walker, let me ask you once more," Detective Mike Carter spoke in a calm voice. "You felt something was wrong when Margaret Bennett brought those brownies?" "Yes. At that hour, to make a special trip." Jennifer's hands trembled as she held a paper cup of coffee. "Plus, I'm a nurse. When I saw Katie's symptoms, I knew immediately. This wasn't just food poisoning." In the hospital lab, Dr. Thompson studied the blood test results. Her expression grew increasingly grave. "Sleeping medication, at twice the normal concentration." The forensics expert beside her nodded. "The likelihood of intentional administration is extremely high." In another room, a digital forensics expert analyzed the data from Katie's smartphone. 3 months of audio recordings, photos, notes, and tonight's decisive evidence. Everything had been systematically recorded. "Watch this video." The expert showed the screen to the police officer. The security camera had captured the crucial 15 minutes in the hospital room. "Don't tell anyone. If you do, your mother's career is over." Margaret's whispered voice played clearly. "The evidence? Did you find it?" Stephen's panicked voice. And their relieved expressions when they found nothing. Everything was recorded. In the hallway waiting area, Rachel heard the truth from Jennifer. Katie had been recording everything for 3 months. Jennifer's voice shook. She consulted the school counselor, gathered evidence. "But she was worried about your job." Large tears fell from Rachel's eyes. All the pieces were connecting now. The disappearing photos from her daughter's room. The crying at night. The daily ritual of checking her mother's room. Everything had been preparation for this day. "My mother-in-law was holding my nursing license hostage." Rachel's voice trembled. "Using her influence on the hospital board." "That's correct," Detective Carter approached. "Margaret Bennett was exerting undue pressure on hospital personnel. Your daughter recorded that as evidence too." The audio played. "Don't let Rachel talk. We have things to protect. If that child speaks, this family is over." The conversation dated back 3 months. Everything had started then. Katie's phone contained even more shocking records. Daily psychological abuse by her grandmother. Her father's silent compliance. Sometimes even participation. Everything was meticulously documented. Locking her in a dark room for hours, claiming poor grades. Withholding meals. Threatening her with her mother's career. The detective read the facts dispassionately. Each word pierced Rachel's heart. Why couldn't I see it? Her trembling voice was met with Jennifer's comfort. You were working desperately every night. Katie knew that. That's why she tried to solve it herself. The truth went even deeper. Another phone was hidden in Katie's locker at Kent Denver School. It contained more detailed records. Meetings with the school counselor. Teachers' testimonies. And tonight's plan. The party was a trap, the detective continued. Katie predicted Margaret would make a move. So she prepared. The photos of the brownies. Evidence of drugging. And the conversation in the hospital room. Everything was part of a carefully orchestrated plan by a 12-year-old girl to expose the truth. My daughter was so strong. Pride and sorrow mixed in Rachel's voice. Then, sounds came from down the hall. Police officers moved into action. Margaret Bennett, Stephen Bennett, Detective Carter announced firmly. You're under arrest. The blood drained from Margaret's face beneath her luxurious cashmere coat. Beside her, Stephen tried to resist, but it was futile. This is a misunderstanding. Margaret's voice echoed in the hallway. But no one listened anymore. The evidence was perfect. Gathered over 3 months by a 12-year-old girl. To protect her mother. To protect herself. And for justice. Mother and daughter reunited in the hospital hallway late that night. Mom. I'm sorry. Rachel held Katie tightly as her voice trembled. I'm the one who should apologize. For not noticing, but it's okay now. Outside the window, dawn approached. The long night of silence was ending. And a new morning awaited mother and daughter. 1 week after the incident, morning at Denver Health Medical Center. The pediatric ward had regained its usual peaceful atmosphere. However, in the hospital boardroom, an intense meeting was underway. Margaret Bennett's improper interference in personnel matters has severely damaged our credibility, Dr. Anderson, the board chairman, stated gravely. A detailed investigation report lay on the desk. We will immediately consider reinstating nurses who were unjustly forced to resign, starting with Emily Parker. Board members nodded at his words. With Margaret's arrest, years of hidden misconduct were coming to light. At Denver Police Headquarters, Detective Mike Carter methodically confirmed the facts in the interrogation room. So, Margaret Bennett, you used a nursing license as leverage to control Rachel Bennett and her daughter Katie over an extended period? I was only trying to help them. Margaret's voice trailed off. Her luxurious cashmere coat was gone, replaced by standard detention center attire. And finally, you endangered a 12-year-old girl with sleeping medication. The detective's voice rang cold. I resigned, she admitted everything. In the adjacent interrogation room, Stephen did the same. In the residential area of Cherry Creek, 2 girls faced each other in front of Sarah's house. Thank you, really. Katie's voice trembled. That's what best friends are for. Sarah smiled. Besides, my mom helped too. Jennifer Walker had used her nursing experience to quickly arrange the ambulance and notify the police. All part of the girl's plan. But I was really scared, Sarah's expression clouded. When I ate that brownie. I'm sorry. But there was no other way. Katie apologized. The girls hugged tightly. Their friendship had helped them overcome this ordeal. At Kent Denver School, school counselor Ms. Thomas smiled quietly. Well done, Katie. 3 months of records lay on her desk. Your courage changed everything. The teachers had secretly supported Katie. The phone hidden in her locker. Organizing evidence in the library after school. All made possible through their cooperation. At Denver Health Medical Center, Rachel received new orders. Your promotion to head nurse of pediatrics is approved, Dr. Anderson's voice carried warmth. This is based on your merit alone, not anyone's influence. Colleagues celebrated in the night ward. Tears glistened in Maria's eyes. Finally, you're getting the recognition you deserve. In their new apartment's living room, mother and daughter shared a quiet dinner. A modest but warm table. Is it good? Rachel asked, slightly nervous. Yes, perfect. Katie's smile brightened the room. A new phone sat on the desk. No longer needed for surveillance. No more evidence to gather. Just an ordinary phone for capturing everyday moments between mother and daughter. Mom, Katie spoke with a serious expression. I want to become a nurse in the future. Tears welled in Rachel's eyes. But not because someone's threatening me this time. I really want to help people. Her daughter's eyes shone with determination. At support group meetings, mother and daughter met others with similar experiences. Your courage gave us hope, one participant spoke through tears. Especially Katie's actions. The 12-year-old girl's courage had changed many lives. New photos accumulated on the new phone. Mother and daughter smiling. Fun times with friends. And hope for a bright future. In a park on the outskirts of Denver, mother and daughter walked under autumn-colored trees. Aren't you cold? Rachel draped her jacket over her daughter's shoulders. I'm fine. My heart feels warm. Katie held her mother's hand. True, November's cold wind was blowing. But it was a wind announcing the start of a new season. Mother and daughter walked slowly forward. Hey, Mom. What is it? We're going to be okay, aren't we? Rachel nodded firmly at those words. Yes, they would be okay. After all, they had already overcome their most severe trial. At the hospital, reforms progressed under the new board. At school, a stronger student support system was being built. And the police continued careful investigations into similar abuse cases. Winter was approaching the city. But for Rachel and Katie, this wasn't their first winter. Certainly not their last. Just one precious page in their new life. Their shadows stretched long in the sunset, like signposts pointing toward the future. Mom, what should we do tonight? How about watching a movie? Yes. Such ordinary conversations were now most precious. In the pediatric ward of Denver Health Medical Center, a small note was tucked into Rachel's locker after her night shift. Dear Mom. I'm proud to have you as my mother. I love you. Love, Katie. Rachel held the letter to her chest. Their new story was just beginning. And surely, it would be a happy one.